Okay, so today we're going to look at solving equations. And you should take a moment to figure out what your response to this would be. 2x plus 1 equals to 21. So I want you to show me how you would solve that equation and then explain in words how you did that. Okay, so we're going to look at solving equations with inverse operations. So the inverse of addition is subtraction. The opposite of subtraction is addition. The opposite of multiplication is division. The opposite of division is multiplication. And the opposite of an exponent is doing a root. So we're going to look at using inverse operations in order to isolate x, or to figure out what x is. So the opposite of adding 5 would be to subtract 5. If I subtract 5 from this side, I also need to subtract 5 from this side. When we use inverse operations, and if I subtract 5 from this side, it means it's gone. So really what I need to figure out is x is equal to 9 minus 5. So I subtracted 5 from this side at 0, but in subtracting 5 from this side, I get x is equal to 4. If I do the same thing here, I have 3 is equal to x minus 1. So I want to know the value of 1x. So the opposite of subtracting it is adding it. So if I add it to this side, it means it becomes 0. So I need to see what happens when I add it to the other side. So I'm going to do 3 plus 1, and I also get 4. In this case, I have 3 times x is equal to 12, but I want to know the value of 1x. So I'm going to divide this side by 3, and I'm also going to divide this side by 3. 3 divided by 3 is 1, so it's going to tell me the value of 1x. And then I will do 12 divided by 3, and I get 4. This says x divided by 2 is equal to 6. The opposite of division is multiplication. So if I multiply this side by 2, I'm going to get 1x, which means I need to multiply the other side by 2. So I have 6 times 2, or in this case, it's 12. And again, I can visually verify that. 12 divided by 2 is 6. Then we have this one here. We have x squared is equal to 49. So the opposite of squaring something is the square root. So if I take the square root here, they'll cancel each other out, and I'm left with 1x. But I need to figure out on the other side what the square root of 49 would be. Then I have x equals, and your calculator will actually do that for you. Your calculator should have a square root button. So we're going to do the square root of 49. Or if you know it, that's awesome too. And then we'll have it equals 7. And I can quickly verify that 7 squared is equal to 49. You should pause the video and try the bottom ones down here on your own. Once you've tried the ones on the bottom, resume the video, and you can check your answers with mine. Okay, so to solve equations with more than one operation, essentially we're going to do BEDMAS backwards for the most part. So we use SAMDEB. So basically means we undo the equation in the opposite order that we use BEDMAS. So I have 2x, but I also have this plus 5. And I want to get rid of the plus 5 first, so I'm going to do the opposite of adding 5. I'm going to subtract 5. If I subtract 5 from here, I'm also going to subtract it from here. When I subtract it from this side, it becomes 0. When I subtract it from this side, I'm going to find out what the answer is. So now I have 2x is equal to 11 minus 5, or 2x is equal to 6. Now I have 2x is equal to 6, but I want to find out about 1x. So I'm going to divide both sides by 2, and so x is equal to 3. If I look at this one, I have x divided by 3, so the x is here. So I'm going to get rid of minus 2 first. The opposite of subtracting 2 is adding 2. So I'm left with x over 3. If I add 2, it becomes 0. So I'm going to see what happens when I add 2 on this side. So I have minus 4 plus 2. So I have x over 3 is equal to negative 2. Right now, x is being divided by 3. So if I multiply by 3 on this side, I get x. And I'm going to see what happens when I multiply 3 on this side. I get x is equal to negative 6. So I have negative 3. So I've got to get rid of 7. 7 is currently being added because there's essentially a plus in front of the 7. It's a positive value. So I'm going to subtract 7 on this side, which means I'm left with 0 and then minus 3x. And if I subtract 7 on this side, I need to figure out what happens. So now I have minus 3x is equal to 12. Okay, so I did 19 minus 7. Now I have minus 3 x's, but I want to know about 1. So I'm going to divide by minus 3. So I get 1x, and 12 divided by minus 3 is minus 4. Okay, so I have 4x squared, so I need to get rid of this minus 10. I'm going to do the opposite. The opposite means I'm going to add 10. So if I add 10 on this side, it becomes 0. So I need to figure out what happens on the other side, which means 4x squared is left. 26 plus 10 is 36 is equal to 4x squared. But I really want to know about 1x, although in this case I'm going to know about 1x squared first. So I'm going to divide both sides by 4. 36 divided by 4 is 9. And that leaves me with x squared on the right. The opposite of squaring